Soulful means something that's heartfelt, deep, and profound. To journey means to travel from one place to another. This show is about deep and heartfelt discussions about where we are, where we're headed, and where we've been. It's a place where we highlight memorable moments we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul.
Welcome to Soulful Journey. I am your host, Venus Jones, and I'm so happy that you are here and waiting patiently. We had a little bit of hiccups this evening, but we are here and we are going to go ahead and take a deep breath and focus on the soul and the reason why we are here. We are human beings having a spiritual experience, or spiritual beings having a human experience. That's what I really mean. And I just want to take some time just to focus on our breath, because it's been one of those days for me, and I don't know about you, but I do need to take a breather right now. So if you don't mind, take one with me. Take a deep breath and focus on that deep breath that flows through your body, that breath of life. Notice how everyone is different from the next, ever changing, ever evolving. And whatever is going through your mind right now, you can let it slip away. And just for this moment, this minute, we can come back to harmony. You are safe. You are accepted. You are forgiven. And you are loved. Thank you so much for taking that deep breath with me. Man, I'm ready to go back with a good friend of mine. I have been knowing this man for a long, long time. He is a minister. He is a youth leader. And he is also an amazing performance poet and a part of my family and my tribe. I want to welcome to this virtual stage the one and only Walter Wally B. Jennings.
Hey, how you doing?
Wally, how
Hey,
are
Venus.
you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really excited.
Well, I am so happy that you are here. And for those who some people are watching on YouTube and maybe LinkedIn, but we'll have to get some other people back on Soulful. We had a little bit of a hiccup, but you are so patient, and that's kind of what happens when you go with the flow. Is live TV, is live virtual streaming, so it may not always go perfect, but life is not perfect, right, Wally? We still show up every day.
That's right. We've seen it over the past few months. We
Okay.
are all navigating and dealing with some of the same challenges. And yeah, we all have to be patient. So like I said, I just appreciate the invitation and looking forward to this time with you.
Well, I'm happy. I want to step back a little bit and give you 3 minutes or so, or whatever, just to maybe even 5, depending on. I can kind of get a gist of when you're done, but I want you to take some time to tell the people a little bit of who you are and share a poem if you like with them. Is that all right? You feel right now? Oh.
Yeah, the poem would probably need to be separate, because as far as we explaining, because if I'm explaining, I have to include you in my explanation. Yeah, exactly.
Do the poem that one of my favorite poems by you about your daughters. Can you do that one?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so just do that one, and then we'll come back and talk, and then I'll do something because this show is a little. Normally, I come in and I do a poem first, but maybe I should do a poem still first.
I think you should.
I'll do a poem first, okay, Wally? I'm gonna take you off. I forgot. Cool. Those days. Okay. All right. You know what? I forgot. I'm supposed to do a poem first. I forgot how my whole show go. Okay. I'm going to do a poem for you first. And a lot of the times I do poems for the poem that I do is a poem that reminds me of the person that I am hosting or having on the show. So I'm going to do this one for Wally because when I think of Wally, I think of this poem, and we're coming up into Thanksgiving. It's coming up soon. So I'm going to think about this. When I first met Wally, it was around, it was in the month of November. He could probably tell you what year it was because I cannot remember, but he was having a show, and he was the founder of Tampa Bay's Black on Black Rhyme, and I was so excited to go in there. So it was around Thanksgiving, so it was the first poem he may have ever heard me do, and it goes like this. I am grateful for hope, health, humility, the breeze, the way the earth rotates on its axis with such ease. 4 words, so many languages available to explore, for birds singing outside my door, for the crack in the sidewalk, and the way babies make me goo-goo talk, for the way you are always in my way on the road, for the way a frog differs from a toad, for the way you listen, like, and you whisper like no one can hear, for the way I welcome truth, and I have not 1 but 2 listening ears, for the way you spread love, and you create an atmosphere that resembles heaven above, for the way there is a slight change in weather, for the way you reflect light, and you thought I didn't notice, for the way we laugh at those with little sense and compare Marvin to Otis, for the way good food and good music always takes me back, for the way you teach me how to concentrate on what I have instead of what I lack. I don't always say it, but sometimes I feel the need to spray it, and I am grateful for the spit because it just means I'm legit. I'm grateful for any feeling that stirs up such passion. I'm grateful for your compassion, for simply hearing me out. I'm grateful for the time and place in which I live. I may not be totally free, but I'm no longer terrorized like my brown ancestors and many female sisters before me. I'm grateful for your friendly smile and the land that we work so hard to obtain that will be ours in a while. For the special way that I see you, hear you. Oh, and I'm so glad that I can be so real with you. I'm even grateful for your scent because I believe that you were sent bearing flowers. I want to thank you for those flowers that you might bring to my cold feet. Man, I'm grateful for this life, my love. Gratitude is so neat. Yeah, that's it. That's my poem for right now. And I'm going to now welcome again the one and only Wiley, who's going to follow me with a poem too. Wiley, did you like what I just did? Okay, your turn, poet.
All right. So this guy tells me, upon hearing the news that I'm about to have daughter number 2, he says to me, real men make men. And since I can't seem to pass on my Y chromosome, then I must not have what it takes to train one, let alone make one. Now, he says all of this while watching me tutor his son. Algebra, combining like terms. Learn the value of X and Y by isolating the variable to one side, and I can't lie. Secretly, it does hurt. Because a man's worth can't often be tied to his ability to procreate males, regardless of whether or not he stays. And honestly, every man dreams of having a son one day. Someone to carry on his last name and somehow make up for all the mistakes he made. But God gave me girls. And I have to believe that it was fate, because if God planned it this way, I'm not always really sure why. Maybe he wanted me to know what it was like to be on the opposite sides of the games we used to play. I mean, I used to hear it a lot. But when did you ever think about a girl's father before you took her out? What it must have been like to be in his shoes and the fact that you could be him one day. Or maybe because the way the world is headed, God knew that I'd bring my daughters up to be strong women. Or maybe he just wanted me to be thankful for what I was given. Because how many times have you gotten exactly what you asked for and then regretted that you asked for it? How many times were you absolutely certain that if you got the exact person you wanted, you'd be happy? Only to realize you keep picking men that remind you of your daddy, or women that remind you of your mother, and the qualities you would like to see in them, in him or her. The first relationship that we ever have with the person of the opposite sex, is with our parents, regardless of whether they're present or absent. And since God gave me girls, I'm charged with setting a good example and to handle my business, regardless of what the situation is. See, that's what real men do. I aced Algebra 2 because I always knew how to find the true value of X and Y. Isolate boys and girls to opposite sides, and you'll find that although their needs are different, their values are equivalent, congruent with the father's influence. And then use my patience to keep the equation balanced. So if you think it takes more talent to train your son, talk to me when your child runs up to you asking if they're matching because they were dressed by their mother. And when it comes to fashion, they don't really trust her. Not like they trust their daddy. Get at me when you spend your Friday evenings greasing your child's hair with a jar of Sulfur 8 and then spend 2 hours trying to get the part in the middle of her hair straight. Holler at me when you got to take your child to the restroom in public, but girls can't touch nothing. So you have to hold her up over the toilet seat and then pray to God that you do not get hit with pee. Tell me you know the theme song to Hannah Montana, Dora the Explorer, a High School Musical. And then and only then, maybe you can relate to what I'm going through. But until then, I will be waiting on your son on the front lawn with a shotgun, bathrobe, church socks, and house slippers. Just so he remembers that anytime he takes out Charmian or Simone, they're never really alone. So yeah, bring them back home the same way that they left. Because when God gives girls, he gives us the best.
Hey!
Hey!
I love it. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. Oh man. Thank you so much, Wally. You know, I have to tell you. The thing is about you, Wally, is that I must say I have to be honest. I'm a little envious of you because my husband won't admit it, but he one time said that you was his favorite poet. And I was like, you better clean it up. But he always be like, my favorite male poet.
He meant outside of the house.
Go ahead.
No, he meant outside of the house. That's what he was talking about.
Yeah, because he was going to get kicked out. That's so funny, but that's an amazing poem, and you have so many. I know you probably retired a rhythm writer, but I remember one of my first poems that you remember you doing was that one. But what's up, cuz? I see y'all in the chat. Thank you for being here. What's up, Urel? What's up, Yolanda? I see you. Oh my gosh, you all, they were feeling it, man. They were really feeling that peace. And yeah, Steve's in here cleaning up, talking about, I said favorite male poet. Yeah. So, but man, I just wanted to say, this is such an honor for me because what you all don't know is like, when I see Wally here is like family. Like when I was growing in as a poet, definitely was a space and a place where I went, and he created such an atmosphere that was like home, and we just nurtured so many poets, nurtured each other during such a special time. Do you remember what year we met? I can't remember, but
I think that was November 2001. That was right after we started Black on Black Rhyme Tampa, and you're right. That was one of the first poems. That was probably the first poem that I heard from you. Yeah, and you're right. It was going into the Thanksgiving holiday, and yeah, man.
It might have been like the second or third show y'all did, I think.
Yep. Yeah, we started in September, so it was probably like 2 months, like a little less than 2 months after we started.
And me and D-Rod always be like, yeah, we was one of the first. You know. Yep. We always go back bets. So yes, I'm excited that you are here. And like one thing else, the other thing we have in common, that for those of you who are tuning in, just because you saw that flyer that talked about mentorship, we will definitely dive into that a little bit. But first and foremost, I wanted him to do a poem. As you can see, he's a performance poet. And Wally, you got some new news for us too. What's happened? What's new? What's been good for your soul lately?
Oh man, so I have a website now. Yeah, I have a website after much peer pressure from my wife, and after about 20 years of being a spoken word artist, I finally have a website now. It's my name, WalterWallyBJennings.com. Very proud of it. It's a great website, and obviously during this time with things going a lot more digital and virtual, wanted to make sure that I had a catch-all for everything that I am and everything that I'm doing.
Yes.
And so, yeah, very, very happy about it and proud of it. And I'm on Instagram now as well. Positive peer pressure. So yeah, I am now on Instagram also.
Yes, yes. And one of the things I got not this is, I love shaking maracas even before I met Wally, but one of the things we used to do is shake. Remember we used to shake our maracas? But I just want to celebrate you and that, and I want to celebrate the fact that you know, for those who are oh man, it's some people who went and kicking and screaming, because you know they used to talk about the digital divide. But it's real now, and some people, they have no chance, no other alternative but to learn and new things. And so I'm learning new stuff every day, new technologies, new platforms. Still learning this one. So it's all good, and I'm glad that you are open to the possibilities that, you know, having a space to land. Because we know some of these social media platforms might shut down, but at least you'll always have your site.
That's right. Yeah.
You know? So I'm happy to hear that. I want to ask you, this week we're coming into the part of the show where normally I have you show. This is like a show and tell series. So if you have something that you can show us that speaks to your journey, or something that makes you happy or brings joy and bliss in your heart, let me know. Or if there's something, a story around something you want to share, what you got for us?
Sure. So I actually, my show and tell item, right? I'm a big fan. It actually encapsulates and encompasses a lot of things. If you guys can see that. So first of all, I'm a really big t-shirt fan. And so I'll pull back a little bit so you can see it. I love like novelty t-shirts or like custom made t-shirts. So this is the t-shirt, right? That word at the top, just so you know, it says Coda. And I'll give context, but I want to orientate you to it. So it says, "We spit for Coda." I want to make sure y'all can see it. And then it says Wally DMC. And then on the back, you see it says Wally DMC, like Run DMC. And the story behind this shirt, right, is that in 2016, I was very fortunate to start an organization called the Heard 'em Say Youth Arts Collective. And every summer we are invited to an international youth poetry festival called Brave New Voices. And so this particular year in 2016, one of our team members actually went to Wisconsin and got in a really bad ATV accident. Like fractured her leg really bad. And she wasn't able to go with us. And so obviously we were devastated. We sent things there to support her. But one of the teens said, "Wally, what I like to do is I would like to make shirts for us, so that when we go to the festival, like we have a day where all of us wear our shirts in honor of them." So she put his name on the shirt, which is Dakota. And so we all took pictures, and we took a group picture in the shirt and sent it to Dakota. And you know, that was just a really great moment because it wasn't something that I asked that young person to do. It was something that was on their heart to do. But as you mentioned, like that's a part of the community that I think we create when we empower young people, when we encourage them, when we instill in them that your voice matters, that you have power, and encourage them to utilize it. They feel free to have those type of ideas. They are encouraged to support one another during those moments. And as adults, you're not dragging them along, kicking and screaming. They actually take ownership of their future. So that's it's something that I'm very proud of. I don't wear it and it's a quality shirt too, because it's 4 years old. And so that's my item, man. It was one of the greatest experiences from working with Heard 'em Say.
Well, I'm so glad that you shared that, and just, you know, it's just another symbol of the connection that can happen between, you know, artists, and just how, you know, you don't have to be blood to be family. And it was such it's just a moving that you all could, that was a young person that came up with that idea and of how to celebrate. We could celebrate people's lives in so many ways. And it's just another thinking outside of the box kind of thing. I love that, you know? Yeah. And Coda, you said Coda stands for what again?
Dakota is his name.
Wasn't the person's name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean that's awesome. I want to ask you a few soul chat questions, and the first one I want to ask you is because you are rare. We all are, but the strength that you have, like I feel like I just want to know, how did you, when you were growing up, or what do you think? Is there a book, a movie, or some piece of art that you think really shaped you and your resilience and created you to be who you are? Like, is there something that really made you who you are today, or like shaped your way of looking at things?
If I had to point to anything, I would have to point to my family. My father, my father had a middle school education, and went on to own his own businesses. He owns several plots of land and property still here in the Tampa Bay area. My father was the second oldest of 12 children,
Wow.
from rural North Florida. My mother was abandoned as a child by her father, and my biological grandmother died in a house fire. And so her and her sister were actually orphans. And this was back in the 40s. So, being an orphan during that time was like really bad. And again, they came from a place where the community adopted them and reared them. And she has become a genealogist. The Harlem Academy, which was the first school for African American children in Tampa. She attended that school and was responsible for the movement to acknowledge it with a marker here in the Tampa Bay area. She's an alumni at Blake High School back when it was segregated. She was on the planning committee to resurrect Blake as one of the new high schools back in the 90s when they brought Blake back. My brother was a very popular DJ on WTMP and was very ingrained in the community. My sister actually works at Blake right now. So I come from a family that is very entrenched and adamant again about community, about investing and giving back. So for me, it was the natural thing for me to do what I do. I'm a product of it. I was involved in programs when I was a grade school student, organizations like Young Life and the college reach out program, and those things modeled what it meant to pay it forward. So it was natural that regardless of whatever my career field was going to be, that I always was going to find a way to give back to young people and to the community. And to be honest, it just so happened to be in spoken word poetry, and I didn't expect that at all. The biggest surprise is not necessarily giving back, but it's the way I'm doing it, because I never envisioned my relationship with poetry being what it is and it having the widespread impact that it's had over the years.
Yeah, and so what I'm hearing, if I could sum it up in one word, I would think that's just part of your lineage, and you feel almost a sense of legacy, and that can be strong. I mean, I grew up too, also in a family that was dedicated to service as well. So I definitely think that had it just had an effect on me. That, and also growing up in church. Like, I grew up in the church. I think you did too, but
sure did.
And so there was just that was just normal to see people in service. So, and I think it just rubs off.
That's right.
Was there a movie though, or like a movie? Like, I grew up watching like Electric Boogaloo. And I wanted to be, just in full disclosure, I wanted to be a B-girl. So I was always wondering, that Wally B, a B boy, or was it? I also remember, what is Wally B, or Wally B somebody? How did you get that nickname? Were you ever a boy at all, or?
So my real name is Walter. So Wally, it was actually my childhood nickname.
Really?
But so it was always strange, to hear people when I was growing up that weren't in my immediately family call me Wally. But as I began to get into poetry, I was like, I need a stage name, but I wanted to be something natural. This was the mid '90s, and it was around the time when Wu-Tang was really popular. And
Oh.
and Wu-Tang used to wear these shoes called Wally B's by Clark's of England. So my friend, one of my friends, his name is Quentin Robinson, he started calling me Wally B. Clark. And so I started going by Wally B for short. So that's how I got my stage name.
Oh, okay. Yep. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There used to be a Clark bar too, right? Like Candy Clark. No?
I think it was a Clark's. I think it was like a Clark's like candy bar or something of the sort.
Wally B, but well, I'm glad I got to hear the back end story of that. I always wondered.
Yeah, but you talked about influences. I mean, music has always been like a huge instrumental part of my life, going all the way back to Parliament and George Clinton. And to be honest, like I remember listening to George Clinton, and a lot of times I love documentaries and I love interviews, and that's why I was excited for platforms like this, because oftentimes you see certain things, right? And you appreciate it, but like these times give you the chance to understand what you're looking at. Exactly. So like when you look at George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic and all these people that he has on stage and all the stuff he's doing, right? What George Clinton would say, right? He said that it was his opportunity to embrace people where they were. So like whether you played the rhythm sticks, the tambourine, like whatever you did, there was a place for you and it was a job for you. And like the various outfits and all those things was a commitment to just thinking outside of the box. Yeah. And so like you see all these different characters, Sir Nose, Devoid of Funk, and all of that, like it was creating space for people. And he adopted this mindset, right, of just like not being afraid of newness. I remember growing up and how when rap started to get big and some of the R&B and soul legends were criticizing it about, the cursing and the vulgarity and all the different things. But George Clinton was like, no, I love it. He was like, because that's the voice of this generation. Mm-hmm. And it's important for us to embrace however they need to say whatever they need to say and to give them that platform, even if we don't agree with it. So George Clinton was like he was a really big influence on me. And I didn't even realize it at the time. But as I look back in retrospect, the way that he approached the whole band aspect, the musicianship. I mean, I think that one of the great travesties is that people pay so much attention to like Parliament Funkadelic and like the costumes and some of the stage shows that you miss how amazing their musicianship was, and the great talent that he had in that band. So yeah, George Clinton and Parliament were like really that was a really big influence on me. Yeah.
Is there one? Do you have a favorite song?
Not just Knee Deep, the 15-minute version.
Oh
yeah. So if you never heard it, so there's a short version and then there's a 15-minute version with what I call the greatest guitar solo ever. Yeah, and I know that's saying something. I know it's some Prince fans out there. I know it's some Slash from Guns N' Roses fan out there. I know it's some Jimi Hendrix fans out. Not just Knee Deep, Parliament Funkadelic extended version, greatest electric guitar solo ever. Yeah, fight with your mama about it.
Okay. Not me. Okay. Oh, what's the biggest lie you've been told? All right, no, that's right. But seriously, what's the biggest lie you've ever been told?
Ooh, the biggest lie I've ever been told. Man. Oh, I remember when I realized wrestling was fake.
Venus. Oh my gosh.
Venus, I was so hurt. I mean, I was so hurt. I mean, because my father used to take me to the wrestling matches at the Sundome and the Armory. Like, I can't even watch it.
Watching. Look, my cousin is watching, and she knows we was off with Rock and Roll Express.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know,
all of them.
I mean, Hulk Hogan, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
I felt the same. I was Santa Claus not real. What?
What? And that's the crazy thing. Like all that stuff I can handle. Like I can handle Santa Claus. Okay, Tooth Fairy, no problem. Easter Bunny, yeah, whatever. Like wrestling's not. Whoa! Wait a minute now. Hold on. I don't do no cursing. What you mean wrestling's fake? You know, I see blood and people getting hit with chairs. You mean to tell me all these stories are fake right now?
That's hilarious.
I can't even even watch it now. Like I can't. I refuse.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You can't watch it no more.
No, I no. My heart is shattered. I can't do it. Absolutely not. No, I will never forgive. I will never forgive wrestling for making me believe it was real. I can't do it.
The things, the lies people tell.
Tell you.
Well, that's hilarious. Okay, what do you have to remind yourself of?
I have to remind myself that I was created to be unique. I have to remind myself that I was ordained to stand out. I have to remind myself that I am unique with the purpose. That I'm not supposed to be like everybody else. That I'm not supposed to acquiesce to what everybody else is doing. I have to remind myself that my purpose and my destiny requires me to remain committed to who God created me to be. And that's hard. That was something that it took me years to accept that. As a Black boy growing up, I mentioned growing up like during the time when rap was getting popular. You know, you either were a great athlete or you were a budding rapper. Like those were the only two lanes as a Black boy that you can really fit in. And I never really fit. I tried as hard as I could to try to fit and couldn't, and even tried to lie to myself about who and what I was. And it never was authentic. And that was actually, to be honest, like how I really found and embraced poetry the way that I did. And why I go so hard for young people, because it represented for me the genuineness of embracing my voice and who I was. And I was celebrated for being truthful. Yeah. I didn't have to lie. I didn't have to try to be somebody that I wasn't. And
that's what I love about poetry too, Wally.
Yeah.
Is that it allows us to have a voice. And it seemed like once you up there, I mean, I have anxiety, but once I'm up there, it seemed like it takes so much to get me up there. But when I'm up there, I'm like, people listening.
Yeah.
And allowing you to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's real. And I'm so happy that you remember your purpose. And that is an amazing thing for all of us, everybody watching, to remember that you are unique. And that's what reminds me of one of my poems where I say, you know, my fingerprint, right? I'm as unique as my fingerprint. Everybody's fingerprint is unique. So, and there's only one. So I love that. So, but I have to take us back. There's some people in here who are making little comments in the chat room. Somebody said they were going back. Yolanda said, how to fight. Okay, real talk. So I wanna. They making me go back a little bit because they was all up in there too, feeling mad. Let me question you on this then. What is the best way? What is the art of fighting? Like, do we use our words? Because I remember watching Slam. I don't know if you remember that movie Slam.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you saw your boy, what's his name again?
Saul Williams,
and he was in the prison yard, and everybody stopped when he's speaking his words, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to be like that."
Yeah.
But you know, if somebody asks you like, have you ever had? You've mentored so many. Remind them how many people you've mentored, like.
Oh wow.
Young,
Yeah, hundreds. Over
hundreds,
the
probably
years,
more
yeah,
than that.
hundreds over the years. I've been blessed to work with hundreds of young people. Many of them taking them on their first plane ride,
Yeah.
taking them out of the state for the first time. Had a matter of fact, I mentioned when we went to Atlanta in 2016 for Brave New Voices,
Mm-hmm.
because it was so close, we drove. And one of our students, as we were crossing over to Georgia, she lifted up her feet so she wouldn't trip over the state line. Like, when's the last time you heard a child say that? You know what I mean? And
But I
so
don't
those,
understand. Let me make sure I'm catching you on understanding that she lifted up her feet. I was in the car
yeah,
and she just lifted her feet up
yeah,
because she why
she
though?
didn't want to trip over the state line. Yeah, yeah, those moments, I mean, as small as they may be, like when it happens, they're magnified when you understand like how the impact that resonates with that person down the road. um she had never been out of
You
the
had
state of
took
Florida.
her out. You had took her out of her block, and you were taking her to some place unknown.
Yeah, she had
Right?
never been out
So
of the
she
state
was
of
tripping
Florida.
over the fact that it was out of the boundaries or further than she thought she could go. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying when she says tripping over that line?
yeah, but no, what it is there used to be a thing when this was back in the day when you would take road trips, when you got ready to cross the state line, you lifted up your feet so you
Never
didn't
heard of
trip
that.
over the state line.
I
Yeah.
never heard of that.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it's super,
That's
super.
superstitious.
It's super old school, and for me, it represents the innocence of children.
Mm.
It represents that idea that this is about more than just poetry, and your words have weight, and they can carry you so many places. And even as we look at our paths and our lives and the things we've been able to do, look at where words have taken us. You know, the ways that they have created, the platforms that they have prepared for us.
And
So
they have helped me with so many battles. Like, people do out here, or they are fighting with guns, they're fighting with pistols and fists. And I do think that there are some battles that you that are just best won with knowing the power of effective communication. And I know that you have taught so many people that, and I'm just grateful that you're on here to but I want to get in here. I don't want people to think I'm not seeing these questions. Here's a question for you.
mm-hmm.
Question for Wally. You have always seemed like you were on a mission. Were there ever times where you struggled to find your path?
Shoot, right now. Yeah, but no, yeah, absolutely.
It's cold.
Because and I say that because oftentimes, so when you are about your life's work and your purpose, it's always bigger than you. Like your life's work and your purpose and your destiny is always bigger than you, because the impact is designed to resonate throughout the years. So for me, especially when I was working with young people, there was so much that I always thought about that could go wrong. You know,
Right.
with making the wrong decision and wounding a young person and them walking away, having a bad taste in their mouth about poetry or relationships. But I call, and just so you all, everybody that's listening, just so you know, I love everybody. Anybody that knows me knows that I love everybody. I call everybody my brother, my sister. Venus is the only poet that I call my twin. And the reason why is because we share the same heart. And like, when you follow your heart and you allow your passions and your convictions to guide you, you always end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And I look at Venus, your path, like you always end up exactly where you're supposed to be. Even when you may not necessarily understand it or know if things don't work, like you always end up exactly where you're supposed to be. So during those times where I'm not sure of the path,
Mm-hmm.
I'm certain of the God that's guiding me, and I take refuge in again who He created me to be, and that what I'm doing is bigger than me, and that puts me at peace.
Love that answer. Oh, somebody said, wow. Look at that. Facts. That's right. I'm loving this. And yeah. So if you all have any more questions for Wally, please put them in the chat. He is a man that knows so much about mentorship. How can, as somebody who's listening, how can they find a mentor, you think? Like, what if they feel like, man, I don't have a mentor, and I don't even know how to go about getting one. And how do you, because let me keep it simple. Let me just let you answer that question first.
Mm-hmm. So the Bible says, and there's a great quote, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Oftentimes we have trouble finding mentors because we haven't prepared our hearts and settled that we are ready to receive instruction, that we're not ready to be held accountable. And oftentimes those things will be kept away when we haven't yielded ourselves to resigning that, hey, I want to be led, I want to be instructed, I want to be corrected. So we've got to really make up in our minds that, hey, I want somebody to help partner with me in the path. And when you do that, those individuals will come along. But I want to caution you though, mentors don't always look and appear the way we think they should.
Come on, wow.
So you have to be, so again, you have to be in, that's why you have to be in tune and you have to be ready. I have learned so much from the students that I work with. They always think like, yeah, they always thank me, but I'm like, thank you all. I mean, with the perspective, with the energy, with the abandon that they write with. I mean, I learn and glean so much from them that it's a two-way street when it comes to the impact that's being had. And that's an important part of it, is understanding too that when you go into a relationship, especially when it comes to mentor and mentee, knowing that you've got something to learn as well. So it's not just about you sitting in the seat of an instructor or a know-it-all, but you also are there to learn as well, because we're all at our best when we commit to being lifelong learners.
Yes, and you brought up some scripture, but I remember also a line that's from scripture that stuck with me. It says, "A child would lead them," and I never forgot that. So I always feel like I love the fact that you said even you're someone who's younger than you could possibly be mentoring you. Quiet as is Kevin, you don't even know, you're learning from each other, and I love the fact that mentorship it can't. Sometimes we feel like it needs to be this person we're sitting at their feet nonstop, but they got this gray hair, right?
Yeah.
You don't want that, right? Like that's what we saw in the movies of what the mentors look like, and apprentice, but it doesn't always show up that way. And sometimes we have to remember that we're mentoring someone. We have to reach out, right? We have to be that one that reaches out sometimes, and you may just be surprised what you get back in return.
Absolutely. I mean, and look at, and I was going to say, look at the time we're in now. Mm-hmm. where when we talk about this digital age, and over the past few months, our children have adjusted swimmingly. Why? Yeah. Because since the time they were born, we put up a phone or an iPad or a laptop in their hands. So it's second nature for them. But for individuals like us, I've struggled during this time with transitioning. I love being in person. For me, poetry has always been very, very hands-on and in person. And so, I've had to yield myself and humble myself to learn, from someone younger than me with various systems and different things. So, we gotta commit ourselves.
No, this way. We getting up there, you go on these things like, oh man, I'm the oldest one.
That's right.
We look good though. Look, Uriel says, Wally B, have you ever felt like people weren't listening? And how did you overcome that thought and feeling?
Yeah, it's hard. That's difficult. So what I learned to tell myself, anytime I'm speaking, I'm talking to the people that are listening. The words are for everyone, but anytime that I have the opportunity to speak, I am talking to who's ever listening. Now it could be 100 people and one person's listening, right? But I'm talking to that one person. Yeah, and that's important so that you don't become discouraged in speaking. And because if you feel like nobody's not listening to you, it's very easy to feel like, well, nothing, I don't have anything valuable to say or contribute. And there are a bunch of different factors that can contribute to people not necessarily listening. But I know that I have been ordained to speak. I was told a long time ago, like, look, my will is always for you to speak. The question is, are you willing? Like, so you don't ever have to ask, like, do I need to speak? You need me to speak? It's like, no, my will is always for you to speak. The question is, are you willing? So the question is, are you willing to speak? Knowing that even though everybody may not be listening, are you willing to speak for the people that are listening to you?
Yeah. Beautifully said. And it reminds me of that proverb, each one teach one, because really that one person it has such a ripple effect. I mean, and I stopped getting caught up on like how many people are in the audience, because I've had times where it was only 2 or 3 people and I made more money than I made sometimes when it was 500 people. And I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because you never know who that person is, and you don't know what they're going to do with the knowledge and the information that you give them. And it's not always about monetary gain, but it's also about just the fact, I just use that as an example about how you don't know who you're talking to. And you should never make an assumption, because that person could change your life, and you could change their life forever, in just one brief moment. And so I'm just so grateful for this gift that we've both been given. How can people support your poetry? Are you still doing a lot like with poetry? Are you writing, Wally? Because sometimes I feel like you nurture us, and I get into this. We're nurturing other writers so much that we forget to write. And are you still writing? And do you still have books and CDs that people can get?
Yes, I actually have both of my CDs on the website. Again, that's walterwallybjennings.com. I'm working on a book right now. I am writing. I actually
what kind of book is it? A memoir, or is it a poetry book? What is it?
It's a poetry book.
Okay.
I am going to end up doing a memoir probably in a few years.
Okay.
With some of the things that we're talking about today, with mentorship and things of that nature. But yeah, I am working on a book. I'm proud to announce too that Charmaine and I, we've actually launched a community initiative. It's called Mouth of the Mural, and the premise behind it is ekphrastic poetry that's based upon various murals and paintings, public paintings within the city. So we're really excited about that. We actually had a young lady from Blake High School that we recorded last week who wrote a poem based on one of the mural that we'll be covering. And we do have a web page for that, and that's mouthofthemural.com. So really excited about that.
Mouth of the Mural. Yep. I love that alliteration too. And some murals do speak, and some artists definitely need more highlight who are doing that work. And it reminds me of the walls in ancient Kemet, right? Or Egypt. So, we have to, remember to just make sure that we're looking and paying attention to the symbols and the signs, man. Yeah. So people can follow you. Steve, put your we got Walter Wally B. Jennings .com in the
That's
chat.
right.
In the chat, check it out. We got you can go to mouthofthemural.com. And in your memoir, what chapters do you expect to have? Is a question.
Ooh, how many chapters or what chapters?
What chapters it says.
Oh man.
I guess they mean that's Steve asking about the maybe topics.
Definitely the history of my background with poetry and spoken word, the scene here in Tampa, and obviously Venus, people like you who have left an indelible mark and are a part of the legacy of the contemporary poetry and spoken word movement. Black on Black Rhyme Tampa turns 20 years old next year. So those, I think it's important for us to document. One of my mentors early on, he said we have to chronicleize our experience. our experiences. We have to document our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think it's important for us to do that and to and tell them why we can.
Yes, because there's no day by like today, and there feels like a sense of urgency, especially in a year like 2020 when we've lost 3 people in our family, and there's so many people around us who have lost loved ones, and it's just a wake up call to remember to tell those stories. And I'm still learning how to tell my story, Wally, and I'm glad you're telling yours, because it is important as we continue to nurture the writing of others, but. Don't forget to tell yours, because you have an amazing one, and I'm glad you're doing it. So glad. And Charmaine, what you all don't know, Charmaine C. Main, again, he mentioned her, another amazing poet. I'm hoping I'll have her as a guest one day as well. So tell her she's not off the hook just because you in here representing both you and her. But I still want to hear her do some more work. But we're at that time where I sometimes I ask, I say, oh, should we do a collab? Should we do something together? Or sometimes we will talk about a current event. But I guess I'm really now, this is the time where we will have a little bit of fun. I don't know what. Just kind of brave. I got my drum.
Okay.
Or we could, I could just shake these maracas like you said, like the P Funk. Ooh, I could put on the P Funk, but might take me some time to find. But I forget how knee deep go. I don't remember how it go, but I remember it.
Yes, you do. Remember De La Soul, Me, Myself, and I?
Remind me though.
Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, that's
dun, 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 dun. Yep.
Yes. But like if we do need to do a collab. This would be the time, but I wanted to sing on something you do, or can I be your background dancer or something? Just start spitting something, or do you want me to start playing the drum and then we just figure it out?
It's up to you. You can play the drums. I did.
Remember the cart? Do you remember when the conscious party? Oh,
yep.
Myron. I think it was Myron on Jones. Where he at?
Yep, Myron Jackson. That's my my poetry father.
I love him. But let's see.
Okay.
Hey.
You do that.
Give me a sign. I'll be yours before us, Miss Present and Miss After. You tell me the time. We can wake up in the city under sea. There is no way that this hunger would lead me to disaster. So hold my hand and meet me near the river and the tree. Kick a verse, come on.
All right. All right.
You love.
All right. Give me a sign. I'll reach out my hand and you grab it right now. Give me a sign. Sometimes it's not about how you get there, but right now. We've got so far to go, but I don't know. But we'll get there if we keep holding ourselves together.
Together we will grow. Act like you know.
Together we will grow.
While it be somebody. My name
B-E.
B Boogie. That's what Cotton calls me. That's what Cotton calls me. Cotton Gin, you see. Hey, getting all these shout outs.
Hey.
Hey, just having fun. Just having fun being in the moment.
Love
And
it.
that's what I got from the message from the free off the top of the dome you gave me was like, yes, we got to stay in the moment. We got to remember, man.
Yep.
To look for the signs and the symbols. And you are definitely a symbolic sign of hope for so many. Continue to keep being an amazing mentor. And I just thought of that piece. And we both been married for 20 years.
Yep.
Y'all got married I think a couple months before we did. I don't remember.
Literally a week before y'all did.
It's crazy. I still, when I go back and I'm seeing you celebrate, and I'm like, well, I'm right behind you,
Wiley. we literally got y'all are the 23rd. We are the 16th.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. And I still remember you being at our housewarming, and that's why the other thing about marriage is that, do you have any advice or quotes for married couples?
So marriage is about what I'm learning. Marriage is an institution. And what that means is love definitely is the main ingredient, but you and your partner have been brought together to not only collectively do a work, but your partner is there to actually to assist you in the work and the purpose that you were put here to do. And you have been placed in your partner's life to assist them in the life work that they were put here to do. So you got 3 different purposes that are intertwined together. So yeah, make sure that whoever you choose to be married to, that they are somebody that you were assigned to support, that they have been assigned to support you, and that you understand that you guys have been brought together to accomplish something collectively.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and choose wisely, right?
Yes.
And you don't. I think it's a myth that you have to love yourself completely and wholly before you find that person who's willing to accept you for who you are. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, man, unconditional love does exist, and those of us who try and aspire to be, Christ-like, Buddha-like, whatever the God of your understanding, that love is real, and that we are out here, and it does exist. And I think you and Charmaine are a shining example, and I give thanks that Steve and I are also working on it still to this day. But like you said, don't lose yourself now. Don't lose yourself. Your Bella's in here. Come on, assistants. Come on. What do you mean by that, Yolanda? Come on, assistants. Yeah, because Yolanda knows too. I can't remember how long she's been married, but she know. And it's not easy, right?
No, yes, it's a work.
People think it's easy.
But it's a worthy work. It is. Yeah. It's a blessing. It's a work. It's a challenge. But I tell you, man, God outdid himself when he gave me Charmaine. She's been far beyond what I ever could have imagined for myself. But also too, I'm grateful that there have been moments like recently in our relationship where she's been able to see, like, this is why I'm your husband. And like, there's been moments,
pandemic, right?
Yeah. But like, she's been able, because I've been able to remind her of some things where I was like, no, this is like, this opportunity is a part of what you said you wanted to do, like when we first met. Yeah. That she had forgotten. And same thing with me, where there have been times where she's like, no, this is a part of like your purpose and your destiny. So again, like, you got to have, don't pick your own mate. Like, do not pick your own mate.
Look, before Steve showed up, I was like this.
Yeah.
I surrendered all because I'm done.
Yeah.
And then here he comes.
Yep.
That's real talk. Well, you know what? I hate that it's over. Oh my God. You're another one of those guys. I went over a little bit. I went over time a little bit. But we did get started a little early. But
That's right.
You know what? Can we do this again, Wiley?
Man,
we don't get to know the poets like we want to. but this is beautiful, and I know that's what I love about this show. It gives me the opportunity to be more like family and really represent and uplift and highlight the people who are good for the soul. That's what this show is all about, and you are definitely on the right path. Continue to practice righteousness as much as you can, and I know you're doing great things. So continue. Blessings always, bruh. My spirit twin.
Indeed. Blessings to you, and thank you again for continuing to spread the good news and to provide platforms like this. It's so great to see you continue to walk in your purpose too, and thank you for it. I'm glad to see you thriving and doing well, but I expect no less.
Oh, all right. Well, until next time, and I'm going to just say to to everyone who is still watching, I just want you to remember that if you enjoyed this show, remember to subscribe, like, and share, and sign up for updates at venusjones.com, because one day I'm going to have the ultimate soulful journey open mic with all of these amazing poets coming back just to give you some juicy, great, goody good, So our next guest, you don't want to miss it next week. I'm not even going to tell you. It's going to be a surprise, but you don't want to miss it. Until next time, I am sending you so much love and light, my friend, because I strive to always be divine to those who men. Keep looking up and keep looking out. And if you do, you will experience less fear and less doubt. My name is Venus Jones, and I am so happy that you tuned in tonight. Remember to keep the faith. Ooh.